in this day and age, as being a single person who happens to be incredibly successful, and regardless of what you think that level of notoriety that you have is or fame is, it's there. I just think it's really hard to kind of plot your way through that world regardless.
It is
moneyless and
everything is hard,
but it's harder when you're a target, is what I'm saying.
Well, and it must be harder to find someone who's looking for a partnership and you like your alone time. Like, you don't want to talk. You said
you'd be surprised at how many younger generation women feel exactly the same way.
They say.
Until they get to, yes, they change. I mean, I feel like I am an expert to a degree on women in their 20s. And trust me, the difference between 21, 25, and 30 is enormous. Those are very different stages. Men mature and grow and evolve much slower than women. Women, it all takes place in that one decade. When they're 20, they're in that experimental phase usually. You know, that's college, and they're kind of wild. And I mean, you really want to stay away from that. I mean, that would be too young even for me.
Even for you?
Oh, yes. Unless they're incredibly mature. But by the time they're 25, I think most women are very different. They're over that, wild phase. And by the time they're 30, they may have a biological clock ticking. And then it may
That's got to be scary.
Or not. I mean, it's not like it was even when I was first talking about this subject in the 90s on Politically Incorrect. I remember I was sort of a tribune for the single person, because even in the 90s, it was still sort of considered weird if you weren't somehow angling to be a parent, somehow if you didn't want children, or if you wanted to stay single. I remember doing once a sketch.
You don't think it's weird now? You don't think you're
No, now it's not.
It's not weird.
It's not.
My brother, Alex, actually just brought up the other day how the birth rate is lower than the death rate now, correct? So there's a lot more people that are not having, right? Yeah. So there's a lot more people nowadays that are not having
right.
Look what you started.
There's no There's no stigma. I remember once we did a sketch. It was a Valentine to myself. It was Valentine's Day. And it was a tribute to people who just wanted, like I was making the statement that Valentine's Day doesn't have to just be about pledging undying love to another person. Why can't it just be me saying, I love me and I want to be with me? And doesn't mean I don't have love in my life. It just doesn't mean I follow this model. I mean, the concept of modern marriage is very new.
But even
if you have a girlfriend, I'm sure she loved that you did a Valentine's Day tribute to yourself.
Well, she might do one to herself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very antiquated thinking.
Yeah.
That a girl wouldn't like that. Just because
you're so old-fashioned, Jackie.
I'm sorry, I am.
Right,
so...
you might be, and that's fine.
She is.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Well, the point is that everything is on the buffet right now. You can be that kind of person. I mean, like I was we had a guest on the show Friday night who wrote a book called Rethinking Sex, and we were talking about it on the show and then after. And I think this was after I was mentioning that, I think it was also on that what she is discovering in the millennial generation are things that my generation takes for granted. Like that women can't really separate sex from feeling. I'm like, yeah, duh. We knew this forever.
That's not new.
It's new to them because that generation is so fucked up with their dating apps and their phones and their slut pride, and they thought they could be somehow above all this and not really care and date by Tinder. And of course they can't, because it's in the DNA of women that, of course, if you are going to have sex with somebody, you're going to, as they would say, catch feelings like it's a disease.
But isn't that scary for you? Who goes into it not having any feelings, but to know that you might.
I do have. What are you saying? I don't have feelings.
Well, you don't have. You don't want to.
You're conflating things that don't deserve to be conflated.
Tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Okay. Well, you're married. No. I mean, you're saying.
If I wasn't, I wouldn't have a co-host. I just did it for the co-host.
I forget what
I'm
we were talking
conflating. You said. I said
Yes.
because a person.
Well, you're making it out to be that unless you have undying love for one person your whole life, there can be no love. There's either one.
I'm not saying that.
The-
Here's
well-
what I'm saying.
Well, it
And
sounds like you're saying it.
but here's what I'm
And
saying.
it's not one or the other.
Well, here's what I'm saying. As a single person, at different times in your life, maybe not right now, you might be in a relationship, and we won't talk about that, but we will talk about the fact that one of the things you said, the attributes of being alone is, or being single is, if you want to go have sex, you can go have sex. It's never just that same old all the time. What if you just wanted to have fun and have sex and not be concerned about the other person might catch feelings, and you're not interested in that?
I have caught feelings. I have feelings right now.
I love you too.
No, that's not what I meant, Howie.
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
that's true too, but I absolutely have feelings. It's just, you don't always have to go all the way to Baghdad.
Is Baghdad marriage?
No, Baghdad is an analogy I'm making toward about when we invaded Iraq the first time, right?
Right.
And after we kicked Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait,
Right.
right? A lot of people said we should go all the way to Baghdad and kill Hussein,
Right.
Saddam Hussein, and take over the country,
Right.
which is what his stupid son did. And look at how fucked up that was. And George Bush the first, who was very wise in this, he said, look, we just went in there
Right.
to kick him out of Kuwait.
Right.
We're not going to go all the way to Baghdad. You
Right.
don't always have to go all the way to Baghdad. You see what I'm saying? You can love somebody and not go all the way to Baghdad.
So I was right. The marriage. I said marriage is Baghdad.
You went all the way to Baghdad.
Right. And my wife and I are both still in shock and awe.